Hey folks, David Stewart here. Don't forget to back my Kickstarter, King Leper. You can get yourself a limited edition hardback, or you can get an ebook from that well before it gets out on Amazon. So today I want to talk again about IQ. I saw one of my videos on IQ, I think with like the breakfast question, was getting a lot of views. So let's do a follow-up. Let's talk about software versus hardware when it comes to IQ. A lot of people have likened IQ to just kind of a hardware test. How quickly can you think? How quickly can you absorb information? When a really critical component of being intelligent or wise, some people say, oh, there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom. Let's not get into those weeds. Like the difference between being able to accurately navigate your environment and master it and make changes and do things that matter is software to a large extent. That means the knowledge that you have, what you're putting in to the brain, not it's like raw computational capacity. I hate to use computer analogies because your mind is not a computer. Your brain is not a computer. You are not a brain in a body. You are your body. Your mind, your consciousness is incensed. It's mixed in with your senses, all of that kind of stuff. By the way, medieval philosophers had already figured this out, so we don't need to go through those weeds either. But the difference between hardware and software. And I will tell you from my personal experience, having been an academic and known lots of smart people that had multiple PhDs, people who had lots of published articles, people who had written big books that other people cared about. I have met some of them who were functionally retarded. That is, when it came to mastering the environment of their world, like they knew this subject, but they were complete idiots about everything else because what they had absorbed and what they had internalized and what they had been told was true by other people through, the academic learning process was bunk. And all you have to do is meet someone who's in Mensa to know that Mensa doesn't really mean that much, right? Mensa, you could put it on maybe you could put it on like a CV, you put it on a resume. I'm a member of Mensa because I tested my IQ very high. But you meet a couple people who are like, I'm a member of Mensa, and that's the best thing they have going for them in their lives. They have no long-term relationship. They can't get the attention of the opposite sex. They can't hold down a job in a lot of cases. They're working a crappy job. They can't make rent. They spend their money on Funko Pops or something. Like they have a terrible mastery of their own life. And that's because there's more to life than your IQ. And so a lot of people, I think when they are thinking about IQ or they're listening to a lot of influencers talk about IQ, they start to wonder if they're smart enough to do something. And chances are you'll know that, right? You don't really need an IQ test to tell you if you're smart enough to be a computer programmer because you can take an intro to computer programming class and you'll figure that out pretty quick. Like you'll be completely lost and unable to comprehend logic, in which case that may not be the path for you, but that doesn't mean you can't be successful, right? What does it take to be successful? Well, let's look in our general society and world. You need to be able to make money and you need to be able to maintain relationships. Do you have to have an IQ to do either of those? Well, you have to have a baseline IQ. So if you're above like 90, you're probably going to be okay as long as you are able to have some discipline in your life and make good decisions. You don't need to be hyper smart. And so when I made this video a while back called Shady 80s, which was just as an educator, sometimes you deal with these kids that they're not they're not intellectually disabled, but they're on the lower range of, they're like a standard deviation, maybe 2 below, right? I'm trying to remember how the IQ scale breaks down. Anyway, they're like in the 80s, right? They're below 90. And so they're intelligent enough to have some level of academic accomplishment, but once they get past about the 8th grade, things get really hard. They're not able to pass the algebra class that, like in the state of California, was required to graduate high school. So a lot of high schools would break algebra down into 2 years. And so you'd have a basic math course for freshman year, and then you'd have Algebra 1 Part 1, or Algebra 1A, and then as a junior, you'd have Algebra 1B, and that would take care of your algebra requirement. And that's for the kids who are just they're not well prepared for math, they're not good at math, or they're in that kind of middlingly low IQ range where they don't qualify for special ed services or anything like that, but they aren't high enough to be able to get through the rigors of a standard academic high school program without a significant amount of struggle or sometimes outside help or remedial classes or just making it take longer to learn. That's what a lot of high schools do with Algebra 1A and Algebra 1B. It's just you take twice as long to do a 1-year course. Whereas the people who are in the standard range, they have 1 year of Algebra 1, they get an A, B, or C, and then they're on to geometry and Algebra 2, and they're able to get all of the high school math stuff done by the time they're seniors. So you have to think like those people have a struggle, but if you're above them, and even if you are one of them, you still have the potential for a lot of academic success. Not academic success, a lot of life success. So the main thing is, can you get a skill that will allow you to trade your time for money over the long term, and can you build additional skills that allow you to trade your time for more money over the long term? And that's how you're going to find economic success. That economic success combined with some amount of discipline will allow you to have things like owning a house and investing for retirement. I've met plenty of people who are just average guys and were very rich. And they were very rich because they figured out how to build a business and to run it well. And they figured out how to maintain good relationships with their customers and their employees, and they've done great in life. Okay, you don't have to be a hyper genius. And in fact, Nassim Taleb did an article on this. Is after you get past like 90 or 100, I think IQ and wealth kind of correlate up to like 100, and then after that, it's like no correlation. So if you're average or better, you have the chance to be successful in life just as much as anyone else. Now, someone who's really high IQ, they may make choices that don't give them a lot of economic success. Academics who are really into high-level academic stuff, a college professor job can make a lot of money, but a lot of times, like I said, they make bad decisions. They get divorced. They lose all their money gambling in Vegas. They lose their money gambling on the house market, or they lose their money making stupid investments. They get crazy bad ideas that nobody pulls them back from, and they lose their money doing that. They lose their marriage because they can't maintain any kind of loyalty to their spouse. I've seen these things happen so much, but they are attracted to academia because they really like their subject, they're really good at it, and maybe they enjoy that prestige. So they choose prestige over a lot of money. Whereas the guy who's 105 IQ and opens up a dealership makes a lot more money, opens up a car dealership, or just has a vacuum fixing business, ends up making a lot more money than the college professor over time because he's able to exercise that. One of the richest guys I know was a hairdresser, right? And he cut hair. How did he make so much money? Well, he cut hair, and then he owned the business that cut the hair. Then he opened more businesses for cutting hair, and then he used that money to buy more business. And before you knew it, he was just super rich. It's not like he was mega genius guy. He was a hairdresser. Well, he was smart in one area, but his IQ might not have been like super high IQ dude, right? He's not college professor. He's not the professor. He's just a guy who had a lot of success in life by making good choices and making smart decisions. So that's the thing that I want to talk about. It's like the software really matters. And you've probably met people who are high IQ but believe absolute insanity. They believe the wrong things. They believe stupid things. They're communists. You can meet people that are 150 IQ communists. How could anyone that has 150 IQ be a communist when the evidence is communism is terrible, right? You just look at history and you realize communism's pretty terrible. Well, they believe in it because that's not, having a lot of processing power, right? Having a high IQ, testing very well on this test doesn't mean that you're going to have good software. The software may be really bad. You could have learned really bad things. You could have been influenced to believe those things. You may not even believe them, but you repeat them because you get something from it. That could be that too. They're not really communists, but they get a lot of social positive feedback for saying communist things, which is how it works in academia. Like half the guys, they always will say whatever's the most leftist liberal thing because everybody around them's a leftist. And then you corner them and you realize like, oh, they're actually like just really moderate, but they'll just say those things to get like, oh yeah, that guy, you just kind of got to go and say, yeah, that white people are bad. And you have to write a paper every once in a while about how white people are bad if you want to have this job. And you have to take the class about white people bad, diversity, equity, inclusion class. And that's just what you do. And they don't really believe it, but it's just part of, what they say. So yeah, anyway, that's my whole thing. And it doesn't mean just because you have a high IQ that you have a good bullshit detector or that you're willing to do the work to question every piece of information that you get. You guys know the drill. So anyway, I just wanted to say that a lot of people, I think, put the wrong kind of stock in IQ, especially their own IQ. Like they're like, oh, I can't be a computer programmer because my IQ was only 125. It's like, that's a high IQ. That's on that other side of the bell curve. You know, you'll probably be a fine computer programmer. It's not that big a deal, right? Or whatever you want to do. It's like, think of the most famous musician you can think of, and then wonder about their IQ, and think of the most intelligent musician you can think of, which for me is probably like Alan Holdsworth. Which one's more popular? Which one had more success, right? IQ doesn't just automatically lead to bounding huge amounts of money and success. It doesn't work that way. So anyway, have a good one. Leave me your thoughts down below, and I'll catch you all next time. Don't forget to back the Kickstarter King Leper. I'm really excited to bring this epic novel out. It's technically Eternal Dream Part 3. There's still plenty of time to back it, to get yourself a limited edition hardback. I might do a different color. Just something special. Or to just get the ebook before it comes out on Amazon. So have a great one, and I'll see you all next time.